Hi everyone, and welcome to TWF Collision or Hit. I, Tony Schiavone, with Jim Ross and with Booker T. And today on Collision or Hit, we're going to talk about what happened yesterday on Friday Night SmackDown. Yesterday on Friday Night SmackDown, we happened to see Autolycus, the King of Thieves, the main wicker of the Toy Wrestling Gathering, being a handicap match with Maxwell Jacob Friedman and Austin Theory. And it seems that The Rock has now got the right to fight for the TWF heavyweight winnings, Tony Schiavone said. How he did it, your guess is good of mine. Some would say, some folks would say some folks would say that he was at the right time, in the right stead to make it work. He had Slay. That's how we got it, Jim Ross says. What are you talking about Slay for, Booker T says. We're going to be seeing Cody Rhodes fight The Rock for the TWF heavyweight winnings. And that's going to be one of the most greatest, matches that we haven't seen here in the Toy Wrestling Gathering. Well, here comes Drew McIntyre, and he's not happy. You want to know something? Drew McIntyre says. You think I should be happy? Well, I'm here to tell you, I'm not bloody happy at all. I should be the one fighting for the TWF heavyweight winnings, and not that bloody creep, The Rock. What has The Rock, or Rocky Maivia, or Dwayne The Rock Johnson? What has he bloody done? Oh, big deal. He was a former football player, which became a former wrestler, which became a show player, which became a business owner. Big deal. I could Claymore kick that so-called great one's head off. And as far as saying he's the folks fighter, he's never been a folks fighter at all. And the Brahma Bull, no one quite knows what the hell that is, but I'm not frightened of that anyway. So why don't you come out here? You think you're so good at cutting folks down. See, that's what I kept on hearing about. Oh, he's great at cutting folks down. 1996, well, the 2004, well, yeah. 2005, well, great. 2011, well, the 24 between, yeah. You gonna cut anybody down your free with run? Well, here comes The Rock now. Hey, Drew McIntyre, do you want me to do one of those scathing speeches that I was so well known for between the years of between 99 until, 2004 while, my first run in WWF, WWE? Because, hey, I can do it. It don't take that much effort. Who are you? What makes you think you should fight for the TWF heavyweight winnings? Because it doesn't need what you think. You think because you were a former TNA heavyweight fighter, a former two-time ICW heavyweight fighter, a three-time WWE heavyweight fighter, a one-time WNXT heavyweight fighter, a one-time WWE Interland Body fighter, a two-time WWE World Tag Team fighter. You think that somehow in your mind, you think that you should be fighting Cody Rhodes for the TWF heavyweight winnings? Get out of here with that shit. And I'm here to tell you, Rock, I could care less about all the shit you did in the NFL, or what you did in WWF, WWE, or what you did, or all that shit you did. I care less about what you did for news business, or the Walt Disney business, or whatever, Netflix, whatever all those film and show businesses you work for. And I could give two shits about you being one and a half owners of the For One football business. I don't care. at all. We have a match, and I'll bloody show you that you weren't as skilled as you made yourself off to be. You weren't so skilled. Like to go around and slap folks, call yourself the Great One, call yourself the Folks Fighter, call yourself the Brahma Bull, call yourself the Last Head, all bloody nicknames, and I could care less about them. So why don't we have a match here? And then I bloody kick your head right off your bloody shoulders, and you go down like everyone else. Oh, alright, let's do that, Drew McIntyre. But keep in mind, you're going to get besmirched by the Last Head. Ding ding ding. Oh! Drew McIntyre just Claymore kicked down the Rock. Or do we call him Rocky Maivia? Or Dwayne The Rock Johnson? I don't know. Call him whatever you want to call him, Jim Ross says. But Drew McIntyre just Claymore kicked his head off his shoulders, Tony. You know, that went bad, Jim Ross said. I was in the ring with The Rock. Booker T says, I know how he thinks. I know how he behaves. You know, this was a guy who gave me shit from 2001 YL to 2002 YL. All because I did the bookend and he did the stone bottom. And Drew McIntyre is not frightened of Rocky Maivia, The Rock, Dwayne The Rock Johnson, whatever, the Stone. He did our Claymore kick, only this time The Rock got him. The Rock bottom, the Stone bottom, Tony Schiavone says. Alright, Jim Ross, I'm going to let you call this one of the most wonderful holds in all of Glee, the Folks Elbow, Jim Ross says. But hey, another Stone Bottom. I'll call it now, Tony Schiavone says. Here comes the Folks Elbow. Booker T said, it was never the Folks Elbow. The folks don't own it. That's a lie, Booker T says. Stop lying, Rocky. 1, 2, 3. Ding, ding, ding. Here is your winner, The Rock. Well, The Rock has beat Drew McIntyre here today on Collision or Hit. But as we know, But as we know, The Rock, you know, is going to be fighting Cody Rhodes for the TWF heavyweight winnings, and by no stretch of insight that means he's good again. No, that is true. Tony Schiavone says, we don't really think The Rock is good again. You know, we hardly know that him fighting Drew McIntyre had nothing to do with him going from a baby lair to a heel. Let me tell you something, Jim Ross says. The Rock, his heel runs worked a lot more good for him. You know, his first heel run, 1997 till 1999, when he was both in the land of Overtaken, both as a follower and its highest leader, and when he was in the followership, and his 2 with heel run, 2003 YL, and then his last heel run that he did, you know, that he ended up doing, would have been in 2025 YL was his free diff heel run that most folks are quite aware of. But he's still fighting Cody Rhodes for the TWF heavyweight winnings. I'll tell you right now, Tony and Jim, the way this looks like, I don't know, and I don't care. But at the end of the day, I know The Rock got off lucky. Drew McIntyre had an off day. It happens. But at the end of the day, The Rock, he had to watch out because Drew McIntyre is someone who doesn't take lightly to folks who he believed wronged him. Alright, take it away now, Joey Styles. Thank you, Tony Schiavone and Jim Ross. I'm going to be talking with The Rock here today on Collision or Hit. Alright, Rock. It seems to me that you're going to be fighting Cody Rhodes for the TWF heavyweight winnings. You had your match with Drew McIntyre, and I hope you hope that there was a one-off. Joey Styles, I truly hope that my match with Drew McIntyre was a one-off, because it was not, then I have to deal with a whole lot of bullshit. I'm going to be fighting Cody Rhodes for the TWF heavyweight winnings. And the way that it looks like to me, I know that Cody Rhodes is going to bring the fight. I know Cody Rhodes comes from a wrestling kin background. His father, his older half-brother, and himself. I come from a wrestling background too. Everyone from on my father's side, the Johnson side, my mother's side, the Maivia and the Fatu and the Mafuda side. You know. So, I know that he can bring it, and I also know that I can bring it as well. So, will I be the TWF heavyweight fighter after this? Your guess is good as mine. So you're not worried about Drew McIntyre coming after you and wanting to get even for the slight that he believes you did to him here today on Collision or Hit. If Drew McIntyre wants to get even for the slight that he believes I did, then I'll be ready for him. I laid a smackdown on many folks in my first run in WWF WWE, my 2-whiff run in WWE, and my 3-whiff one in WWE as well. And I got many straps to show for it. 7-time WWF WWE heavyweight fighter, 2-time WCW heavyweight fighter, 5-time WWF tag team fighter, 3 times with Mankind, once with The Undertaker, once with Chris Jericho, Kingly Thunder winner, 20-0, you know. And at the end of the day, 2-time WWF WWE Inter Lamb body fighter. So yeah, it shows that yes, I did do enough, that I can bring the smackdown if I need to. Well, that's my talk with Rocky Maivia, or The Rock, or Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Back to you, Tony Schiavone and Jim Ross. Thank you, Joey Styles, for talking with the Rocky Maivia, The Rock, Dwayne The Rock Johnson here today on Collision or Hit. And it's all the time we got it for Collision or Hit. I, Tony Schiavone, with Jim Ross and Booker T. We hope you like Collision or Hit, and we'll see you tomorrow for Power or Might.